Man hears a strange sound in the woods, then finds a soaking wet baby left for dead. Dave Hickman remembers it like it was yesterday, the day 58 years ago that changed his life forever. The 73-year-old Tennessee man was then a 14-year-old Richmond, Indiana kid, hunting with his grandfather Clay Smith in woods just west of Boston, Indiana. He and his grandfather, a man he idolized for the doting care he brought to their relationship, had just finished hunting and had begun skinning squirrels in a field off Indy 122. It was shortly after 6 p.m., September 22, 1955. A noise interrupted their post-hunt reverie like a soft cry or coo. They heard it again. Hickman decided to find out what it was, a harmless, curious decision that saved a human life. He walked the fence row for about 25 yards to where the noise seemed to emanate. Then he started to climb the fence.
I'd been hunting with my grandfather, and I kept hearing a very odd sound. So I started walking up the fence. I got on top of the fence. I looked down, and there was a little baby. She was soaking wet. Her lips were blue. She was just wrapped in a towel. My grandfather said, "We have to do something real quick. We have to get help for the baby."
Police later said she'd been there for 12 to 24 hours. Doctors said she was no more than 5 or 6 days old. There was no doubt that she'd been left there to die. Also, if you have not done so already, please subscribe to our channel and click that notification bell to get inspired by these real-life stories every day. Now, back to the story. Every day I see that vision of her laying in the brush and sticks, and she was looking up at me.
It wasn't the sound of a baby crying. It was more of a soft cooing sound. I said, I have to find out what this is.
I was a shock. You just would never think you'd find a baby laying out there. I remember thinking, what kind of person would do something like this? The two rescued the infant, called the Wayne County Sheriff's Department, and the baby was whisked away to Reid Memorial Hospital where she was treated. She was named Roseanne Wayne. Roseanne because the people in the Wayne County Welfare Department in whose custody she was placed liked the name, and Wayne for Wayne County. Authorities never determined who dumped the baby along the roadside. A faint laundry mark on the towel she was wrapped in was their only clue. The welfare department fielded a dozen calls from couples wanting to adopt the baby. Applicants were recorded and told no plans for the baby's future would be made until she was strong enough to leave the hospital. The child survived and began to grow. Hickman, a man of strong Christian faith, has been haunted by the memory throughout his life, including his recollection of the day months later at Dennis Middle School when he was called into the office and found 2 nurses and baby Roseanne.
They handed her to me, and they said she's being adopted next week. They had her wrapped in a blanket. She was sound asleep, so I got to say goodbye to her.
Flash forward 58 years to December 9, 2013. John Cady of Richmond opened a letter from Hickman asking for Cady's help in finding baby Roseanne. Hickman said he and his wife Gail had been searching for 40 years for the infant he found in the woods. He said he continually wondered what happened to Roseanne and how wonderful it would be to just talk to her and find out what her life has been like, Cady said. Over the years, Hickman had written to officials at Wayne County, Reid Hospital, and Palladium Item newspaper seeking information. He even wrote to former Sheriff Edward Corky Cordell. He got nowhere. Finally, he wrote to Cady, the retired 2-term Wayne County Sheriff and former county commissioner and councilman. Cady was up to the task. He immediately called Hickman, who lives in Vonore, Tennessee, a town of 1,462 south and west of Knoxville.
I got contacted by Mr. Hickman wanting to know if I could figure out how to find the girl that he had found in the woods.
He told me, "I'm going to do everything I can to get you two together by Christmas," Hickman said. I thought that'd be a miracle. Cady found court information on adoptions and welfare records concerning juveniles remained sealed and not open to the public, so he resorted to old-fashioned dog police work to find clues. He used his contacts in the county and in county government, his knowledge of the area, and his own determination. He was stymied much more often than rewarded with solid information. People had died, others didn't remember, or their memories strayed. Still, he moved systematically from one clue to the next. "I bet I talked to 75 people, bankers, attorneys, nurses, physicians, veterinarians. I knew they had to be old to remember this. They gotta be 80 or better," Cady said.
It was just a fun, lucky break.
At 9 a.m. on December 22nd, Cady called Hickman at home in Tennessee.
He said, "Dave, write down this name and this phone number, Mary Ellen Suey." I said, "Okay, John." I said, "Who's that?" "That's your little girl."
"I'd been trying to find her. I'd spent so many years worrying about what had happened to her. It was truly amazing," he said. Hickman called.
I said, "My name's Dave Hickman," and then I lost it.
"I gave the phone to my wife and she talked to her. After a little bit, then I could talk to her. There was an instant bond between Ellen and me. It's almost as if she was my baby. It certainly has had quite an effect on me." In fewer than 30 days, Katie had found Mary Ellen Suey. For Katie, it was like a police investigation. "That's my background," he said. "You just keep digging until you find something to build on." For instance, Katie wanted to talk to Julian Benner, former Boston town marshal who helped with the rescue and the investigation into the baby's abandonment, but Benner was deceased. So we talked to Benner's widow, Meta Jane, who remembered the last name of the family who adopted Roseanne might have started with the letter T. Meta Jane also told Katie a woman had come around in the early 1990s, looking for the two who'd found the baby. Another source said the family who adopted the baby was a prominent one in Wayne County. Retired Cambridge City contractor Jim Sweet gave Katie the name of Dr. Everett Test, a veterinarian who lived in the area in the 1950s before moving to Maryland. Sweet told him to talk to veterinarian Dr. Mark Woodward, who knew Test. Woodward gave Katie the name of Test's son and his wife, Merwin and Marga Test. Katie used that information to establish a family relationship that landed him on the doorstep of Kevin Schendler, who lives south of Richmond. Schendler works for Katie's son Mike at Contract Industrial Tooling in Richmond, and the Schendlers live down the road from the Katies. Schendler said that Merwin and Marga Test had adopted the baby girl known as Roseanne Wayne, and her name was now Mary Ellen Suey, and she was living in Riverside, California, Katie said. "I was pretty surprised." He asked Schendler to contact Suey to find out if it was all right for him to call her. Katie then called to confirm she was the baby Roseanne Wayne, and to ask if it was okay to give her number to Dave Hickman. "She told me she'd been looking for him for years and that she very much wanted to talk to him," Katie said. "It was exciting to hear from John Katie," Ellen Suey said recently from her home in Riverside. "It was like getting back a piece of my own personal history that I never thought I'd get back." "John Katie's the real hero here," Hickman said. "I can't thank him enough." Suey's family had moved to Silver Springs when she was an infant, and in 1964 they moved to California. She worked for 30 years as an executive assistant for the U.S. Defense Department there, but she's come back to the Richmond area every year to visit her Aunt Ruth Schendler. Suey married, had 2 children, divorced, and has been married to her second husband Bob Suey for 19 years. They had 4 grandchildren, the one died tragically in January. "She's a very lovely lady, a strong Christian," Hickman said. Hickman graduated from Richmond High School in 1960, served 3 years in the Army, moved to Florida with his family, and worked his whole life in construction. He retired in Florida before moving to Tennessee 8 years ago. He returns to Richmond regularly for reunions with his 5 close friends. Hickman and Suey have become close friends and stay in contact almost daily. When Suey's grandson died, the Hickmans called and sent flowers and cards. They plan to meet in Richmond in May.
I call him my hero here on earth because if it hadn't been for Dave, I wouldn't be here.
But Hickman refuses to be called a hero. "I'm just very fortunate I was there," he said. "I found her because God allowed me to save her life. I'm so pleased that he honored me to find her."
No, I knew something was wrong. I had no idea it would be a baby, or I had no idea it would be a human being.
He said, "The Lord's my hero," and I said, "I understand that, but you're my hero on earth," Suey said. Both said the reunion will be very emotional. "But they're going to be happy tears," Suey said. "He'll see that I lived a good life. They're good people, and now we consider Dave and Gail as part of our family." "I'm really looking forward to that so much," Hickman said. "It's a wonderful end to the story, but it won't be an end, it's just a beginning." Suey continues to work to unseal her adoption case file and find out what she can about her birth parents. "I'm very inquisitive. I want to know why things happen this way," she said. She asked Hickman to take her to the spot where he found her. "I always wonder, why did they pick this spot? I guess I can look at the spot as that's where I started my life right there. That's where I got my life back."
Do you think you'll be connected for the rest of your life?
Oh, I think so. Absolutely.
If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up and consider sharing it with someone who may find it interesting. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.